Hey guys, Otto here from Acquisition Partner. Now, in today's video, guys, what I'm going to do is run through how you can create a quickfire audit of a prospective new client's Klaviyo account. Okay. Now, the problem is whether you are a ecom email agency owner or you are a email marketing consultant, wherever you are in your business genesis, you're going to come across brands that potentially you could deliver your services to that are going to ask from you, how can you actually add value to what we're doing already? Now, typically what you're going to do and what we teach everybody inside of the acquisition partner kind of ecosphere here is to get access to their Klaviyo accounts so that you can create an audit. Now, what you don't want to do is then get access to that client Klaviyo account and then have to spend, 3 days or 5 days or 2 weeks creating the most in-depth audit that you could ever possibly create. You then present that to the client and then you find out they don't have the budget and they weren't really that interested and they've got somebody in-house that will do it for 10% of the price that you want to charge them. Okay, so this is how you can get around that problem. And what I'm going to do is just put my face over to the left here and minimize it. I'm going to run through this presentation that's going to show you the key performance indicators and the metrics that you should pull out from a client Klaviyo account that you can then use and leverage to create a scope of works and then actually bill for the services that you're going to deliver to that client. Okay, so without further ado, we'll jump into this presentation here. Okay, so it's all about how to get a quick fire audit from a client account on Klaviyo. Now, use this if you have got an ecom email agency. Use this if you're interested in starting an ecom email agency, or if you're familiar with Klaviyo, maybe you're a consultant or a freelancer and you want to start delivering Klaviyo and email marketing services to potential clients. Okay. So the first step is to really understand Klaviyo. Now, you might have clients who will say to you, yeah, we've been using Klaviyo, we don't really understand how it works, or no, we use Omnisend or Drip or any other sort of third-party ESP. Why should we use Klaviyo? Now, here are 3 core reasons why any ecom brand should be using Klaviyo. Okay, so the first one is that Klaviyo is a platform that will integrate seamlessly with practically all ecom platforms. Now, almost the large lion's share of ecom stores and brands that exist with Shopify as their kind of ecom framework and backbone. But then, typically we have clients we work with that are, on platforms across the big 3. So Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, and then some that are on Magento and sort of other new kind of rising platforms, so to speak. So the first step here is that Klaviyo has a very, very simple direct data integration with Shopify itself. And really it's a tool that will help your brands retain customers with targeted emails and SMS campaigns. Okay. So the second point here is that Klaviyo can be leveraged, and when it's leveraged to its full potential, it will be able to deliver exponential results for your clients. Okay, so this will in turn help you maximize engagement and drive customer loyalty, which is what retention is all about. Okay, so you're not spending ads on a cold audience trying to get them to buy products for your client's brand. You're actually using your existing client's customer base and how many active profiles they've got in terms of emails on their pre-signed up email list. Okay, and the third point here is really a generic point, but we still use it as a kind of soundbite with all of our clients, is that Klaviyo really is the ESP that will help future-proof any ecom brand. Okay, so it has a $9 billion valuation for a reason, and the fact that it is the leader in the marketplace means that it comes with a whole suite of other integrations that other platforms simply do not come with. All right, so those are just 3 key kind of selling points that you can help put to clients verbally, whether it's an introductory call or in a cold email, whatever it might be. It's a good foundation to have to use those 3 points. Okay, so the key areas of account analysis come down to these. Okay, so first, product analysis. Second, performance benchmarks. The third, product and niche understanding. And then the fourth here is social proof. Okay, so when it comes down to the product analysis, really what you want to do is work with a brand that already has existing product market fit. And second to that, and better yet, they will hopefully have a higher number of SKUs above 1. So typically these are brands that don't just have a hero product, or they're not just, in the research and development stage of their kind of brand genesis. They actually already have, a suite of products, multiple SKUs that already have product market fit. And this is typically because this will help you have greater opportunities for cross-selling and upselling when you build out email flows and automations for that client. Okay, so the second point here is performance benchmarks. Now, when you get inside of a client's Klaviyo account, these are the kind of 3 to 4 key metrics that you really need to pull out. Okay, and if you see issues with these are very quick fire wins that you can go back to the client and say, look, your inbox rate, your open rate is incredibly low, although open rates, as a metric on their own these days, since sort of iOS updates, things like that are slightly more kind of clouded and less useful than they used to be. If you've got say a low open rate and a low click-through rate, then you've got an issue with the deliverability of your emails. Okay, so picking out points here across spam complaint rates. Obviously, if the spam complaint rate is high, then that is bad. If click-through rates are low and open rates are low, that is bad too. Okay, so analyze these kind of 3 to 4 key performance benchmarks and drop them into a report or an email or a verbal dialogue with your client and say, look, we've seen your open rate should be X and actually they're Y. Okay, and we can help you improve those. All right, so when it comes down to product and niche understanding, now you have an agency that should be operating within a kind of specific vertical. Now, obviously, if you are using Klaviyo as your service kind of delivery vehicle of choice, you'll be operating within that wider vertical of e-commerce. All right, but within that, there is sort of an element of truth to riches are in the niches, or niches, as we say in the UK here, in that if you try and be everything to everybody in terms of the e-com space and brand space, then you'll probably be absolutely nothing to nobody. All right. So over time, you're going to have to test the market. And if you're just starting out, what we recommend here at Acquisition Partner is keeping the vertical wide. So make an emphasis to the clients that you're reaching out to that you specifically only work with e-commerce stores. That can be enough of a kind of narrowing of your specialism in order to actually get attention and traction in the first instance. And then later on, as you work with different brands, whether they're in cosmetics or menswear or clothing or jewelry, garden furniture, whatever it might be, you might actually be able to generate and garner more results in those specific niches. Then you can use those and double down on those and deliver those as your kind of set, group of specific skills, when it comes to a niche. All right. So when taking the brand itself, what you need to do is basically have a look at what their ideal customer profile is and understand the brand's niche. All right. So you don't have to become an expert. If you're reaching out to menswear brands, you don't have to become the next fashionista or fashion designer or tailor, whatever it might be. You just have to get a good sort of baseline and top level, spread of knowledge readily available so that when you actually liaise and speak with these brand owners, you can kind of talk their language. All right. You don't want to go above and beyond to try and prove that you know more than you actually do. It's okay to say, look, we've worked with clients in XYZ industry. We believe that we've got, a body of flows here and a body of work that's highly transferable to actually what you are doing in your niche. But if they ask you, have you worked with a seaweed cosmetic skincare brand before and you haven't, then obviously do not lie. You have to uphold your ethical integrity at every stage of running a business. So just say to them, no, we haven't, but we have worked with, XYZ clients who we know are sort of highly transferable when it comes to the types of the results that we can generate. Okay. So it's important to get a good overview of the product and their niche, all right, and understand that. Okay. And number 4 is social proof. Okay. So when you're looking through their account, you might see that they've got third-party tools integrated. Maybe it's Trustpilot, reviews.io, whatever it might be. You want to get a good idea of what their social proof is like. Go on Google reviews, go online, go on their Facebook reviews and see what the kind of general discourse is online. It will help you go into the meetings that you have with them. Okay. So the next stage here when you're looking at auditing a client's Klaviyo account is looking at their financial and operational metrics. Okay. So the number one thing that you need to understand is margins and discounts. And typically what an e-com brand will do is, in order to generate repeat business and increase lifetime value from each of their customers, they will uncreatively, if I can say, hit the market and hit their audience with a load of discounts to try and entice them to purchase again from them, repurchase. Okay. But what this does is restrict and erode margins for, obviously those individual products, but blended margins across the total number of SKUs and that sort of product catalog that your brand and client brand that you're going to work with might be experiencing. Okay. So they will think that in order to generate new sales, they're going to have to, give more discounts. And it's a question that I always put to, when we're having these kind of client calls, I could say, look, discounts obviously work. If we were to do 100% discount, then you would generate sales. Okay. So the question isn't about whether discounts work or not. It's about whether they work with your margins. And if you're looking at any sort of average e-com brand, say they're operating at a sort of 10% blended margin across all of their SKUs, you don't want to keep hitting their audience with, increasingly valuable discounts. Okay. It's going to further reduce their margins. And unless that plays into a kind of loss leader or long-term vision and strategy for the brand, it's going to be detrimental to them financially. Okay. So have a look at their account. If you see that from all of their emails, they are offering discounts, this is something that you need to bring up with them in your audit and proposal meeting. Okay, so the second point, the next step here is to look at shipping and delivery. Okay, so have a look at shipping timeframes and look at where the brand actually delivers to. So if they are a homegrown or native brand, maybe they're based in the UK or in the States, wherever you are, wherever your home country is, check whether they are shipping nationally or internationally. Okay, these are all going to be important things when it factors in again into margins and kind of how you might go ahead bundling their products and promoting them to their existing audience. Okay. Now, the third point here to look at from a top level is subscription and replenishment. So what is the brand doing in terms of notifying their followers and their audience about stock that's replenished, back in stock, Have they got those emails going out? Are they automated? What kind of offers are they putting forth to entice, repeat orders from those specific customers? And then also, have they got a third-party subscription tool integrated too? Okay, so there's 101 different sort of tools that you can integrate with Klaviyo. Have a look to see what they're doing. A lot of businesses that might have a large or medium number of SKUs, they actually don't have a subscription model built into the business. Perhaps that's something you could offer them, as part of your bespoke audit and proposal here. All right, so looking at the email flows specifically, it's incredibly important that you look at what baseline and foundational flows they've got in place and existing. And the chances are is that you will work with a variety of clients who will sort of willfully tell you that they've got all of their email marketing set up and they've got everything in place. But 9 times out of 10, the experience that we've had is contrary to that. Okay, so you will actually find once you get into their accounts, they might tell you that they have, we've got all those automations, we've got all those flows set up, but actually they don't have abandoned cart emails going out. And maybe they do have abandoned cart emails going out, but they don't have browser abandonment carts. Okay, it might be that they are not fully leveraging Klaviyo's use case here, and they're sending out their post-purchase emails and email flows through Shopify. They're not actually using Klaviyo natively for their post-purchase follow-ups. You might find that they don't have a VIP customer flow. Okay, they might not have a win-back series to re-engage customers based on when they last actually looked at emails and engage with those emails, and not least actually purchase from the brand. You might also find that their welcome series isn't awfully conducive to actually getting new signups to their list. Okay, so you might find that they've got one email and they are doing a generic offer, and actually when a subscriber signs up to that offer, they don't actually get anything in return. So the automation's not working. As far as they're concerned, they're doing something to entice new signups to the list, but actually on the back end, it's not working. Okay, and finally here, just looking at whether they have a simple review request flow. Okay, so are they getting user-generated content? What are they doing to get reviews and testimonials? And out of these 7 flows, chances are you're going to speak to a brand that's going to have an issue with any one of these. Okay, so we speak with brands that will say they've got all of their email marketing set up, and actually they've got none of these other than the welcome series. And for brands like that, if you have a conversation with them, it kind of becomes evident in this audit process of where you will be able to add value. So when it comes to the advanced email flows, now keeping this as a quick fire audit, you don't want to get too in the weeds regarding what kind of technical output they've got in place and what they're doing from a kind of advanced perspective to generate repeat business from their existing customer base. Okay, but if you do and if you want to, it's worth casting an eye over what kind of third-party tooling integrations they have. We've talked a little bit about subscription reminders, back in stock notifications, replenishment flows, and also VIP customer flows. Okay, so what have they got in there to kind of re-engage old, typically kind of dormant subscribers and active profiles, and then what other third-party tools have they actually got integrated in the business? So when it comes to campaigns, we've talked a bit about the types of flows and automations that they should have. Okay, so we've talked about those from a foundational point of view and then an advanced point of view. And again, this is all about creating a quick fire audit. Okay, it's not going in there with an extensive, 4-hour presentation on email marketing and how it's valuable to their brand. This is all about sort of hand selecting, picking out the key elements of what they're already doing existing within their account, so that you can actually identify and see where you can add value the quickest, and how sort of how much scope and what you can sort of price your services as being. Okay, so when it comes down to campaign strategy, there are 4 elements that you have to look at. Okay, so first things first, what you need to realize is brands with smaller email lists, so say they've got under 20,000 subscribers who are kind of opted in or double opted in into their list, you should be sending around 10 to 12 campaign emails specifically per month. Okay, while those with larger lists over 20K can send 12 or more. Okay, so that's an average rule. And when you look at a client account, if they've got over 20K, if they've got, under 20K, you need to see whether they're sending 10 to 12 emails per month. If they're not, then you can add value. Okay, so this graph here just simply represents that. So when it comes down to the campaign types, we talked a little bit about discounts, and obviously a lot of brands will be putting forth discounts in their flows and automations. But what most brands do is they forget about email marketing. They forget about creating campaigns, and they then email blast their audience, whenever they feel like they have time. They've got no real strategy, no real sort of value add that they're delivering to their list members. And what we say as a rule is have a quick scan over the types of campaigns that they're sending. And if they are basically sending out 100% of their emails as sales emails or discount emails or product promos or multi-product promos, whatever it might be, if it's not building trust, they're not kind of creating anything that actually adds value to the client, then this is another area that you can pick up on the brand. Okay, so if they are delivering campaign wise sort of 30% plus of trust building emails, then that is a positive. But you then need to look at what types of email campaigns they are sending out. We've got 5 to 6 types in our agency that we can help deploy for any one particular brand. So when it comes down to campaign performance, you can get incredibly granular with the level of data that you pick out. But these are the kind of 2 to 3 key areas you need to really kind of highlight to the brand owner when you're speaking to them. Okay, so it starts with open rates, it starts with click-through rates, it follows on to click-through rates, and then it ends with clicks to orders. Okay, so follow these metrics here. So if their open rates are greater than if their open rates are less than 15% for campaigns, that is bad. It needs to be more than that, and ideally a lot more than that. If click-through rates are less than 2%, that is bad, and you can help improve than that. And if clicks to orders, so how many people actually click and how many actually go on to order, if the ratio there is not at least 10 to 1, then you can really double down on clicks to orders and how you can kind of deliver a transformation for them. All right, so moving on to A/B testing. This again is just regarding the 4 key kind of components of a good campaign strategy. When it comes to A/B testing, you want to look at the 4 key components here in this order. Okay, so what are they doing? Are they actually A/B testing their campaign emails? If they're not, bring this up in the audit and pitch it as something that you can deliver for them. And then when you get more granular in terms of the types of A/B testing they're doing, first things first, look at the subject lines, then look at the type of the copy and the style of the copy within each email. Look at the email designs. This is oftentimes one that you can kind of do in tandem with number 1. This is more for kind of a more granular ongoing analysis of how their A/B tests are actually performing when you've got them as a client. But look at their design and then look at their send times. Okay, so if they're sending, if you've seen from your audit earlier on that they are a national brand, they only ship nationally, but they're sending all their emails in the middle of the night, then that's a quick and easy win. Okay, and all of these things that you're picking out are things that you, in discussing this with the client, you're going to be help adding and giving them actual value. Okay, which will in turn help you build trust and then eventually help you sign them as a client. All right. And the final thing here is just to look at whether they're actually using surveys to gather data. So Klaviyo has 1,000,001 different ways to actually really, get more granular data on each active profile and each customer. Surveys are a great way of doing that. And believe it or not, people actually do answer them. They do complete these. Oftentimes we'll have clients who say, we hate pop-ups, we don't believe in them. What we say to those clients is that you have to put your personal biases aside. The data will show that, if you've got an average kind of click-through rate or conversion rate on your pop-ups of 6 to 12%, and you're getting thousands or hundreds of thousands of hits to your website a month, the data will show that actually people are, some people are benefiting from these pop-ups and these offers. You're adding them into your list and increasing their chances of becoming a kind of recurring customer for the brand. All right. So next slide here, what we're going to look at is creative and the copy. Okay, so when you are doing this top level audit of client's Klaviyo account, you need to look at the type of copy that they're putting forth. Okay, so analyze your client's email content, which will help you optimize engagement and conversions when you do actually work with them. We've already talked about reviewing key metrics like the open rate, click-through rate, spam rates, unsubscribe rates. But what you need to do is then use these insights to refine messaging and design for that brand so it resonates with their audience. Okay, so these are the kind of top-level talking points that are important for you to bring up with the brand owner as to why these metrics actually mean something. Okay, so three core elements of analyzing their creative and their copy. Okay, so it's design consistency. So is the brand design actually consistent, and are they updating it at least quarterly to maintain a polished, congruent, professional appearance? Okay. Second to that, are they changing their designs and email templates for the 3 core sales months in the e-commerce calendar? Okay, so November, Black Friday, and Cyber Monday, the lead up to Christmas and the Christmas period, and then obviously January sale going into the new year. Okay. Have they got engaging copy? So scan through the types of emails that they are sending. Are there grammatical errors? Are there typos? Is the copy boring or weak? What you want to kind of put forth to the client is that, you've identified these core issues with the type of copy that they're putting out. And actually, if they were to work for you, you're going to craft copy that is relevant, it's compelling, and it's tailored specifically to their ideal customer profile. Okay. Now, personalization is pretty much the foundation of Klaviyo's use case as a platform, and it's common knowledge that the more personalized an email is and a marketing message is to the recipient and the reader and the audience, the more likely they are to trust you and actually eventually go on to buy from you. Okay, so Klaviyo allows you to get incredibly granular with the level of data that you can use for personalization. You can personalize based on obviously their names, locations, browsing history, purchase data, colorways, preferred types of products, times of year that they buy, average price of the product. There's 101 different ways that you can help personalize emails. Okay, and typically, if a brand is kind of trying to do their email marketing in-house, they're not going to have the time to really get in the weeds when it comes to this type of data, but you can. Okay. All right. So we've looked at flows and automations. We looked at campaigns. Now, the kind of third component of their email marketing strategy and the account audit is forms and pop-ups. Okay, so simply, what kind of forms and dynamic forms have they actually got live on the website? I talked a little bit about the typical conversion rate of a pop-up, with a minimum of 6%, going up to 12%, and anything more than that is obviously brilliant. But what you just want to look at is whether their pop-ups are optimized. So when you go on mobile view or when you go on their website on the desktop, are you being presented with the pop-up in a way that's not aggravating or annoying? Can you click off of it? Are there any other Shopify overlays or third-party tool overlays on that pop-up, making it difficult to actually read and see what the value is from that pop-up? Okay. From there, what you want to see is what kind of lead nurturing process they've got in place on the back end. Okay, so typically a brand will have a Klaviyo pop-up on their Shopify store. It will pop up and it will directly input into their welcome series. Okay, so it'll be get a 5% discount. New customers get a 5% discount. Drop your name and email address below, and then that plugs into the welcome series. So just see what kind of level of technical kind of input they've got there. There's a number of different kind of advanced implementations, and it will just help you get an idea of what the clients are actually doing in terms of trying effort-wise to build their email list. Okay, and I've talked about discounts and the issue with discounts and increasing discounts and how it erodes margins. Look at what kind of incentive strategies they've got in place. So are they running exclusive content? Are they doing giveaways? Is their kind of form and pop-up sign-up process, is it gamified? What are they actually doing to entice visitors? Okay, if they are just hammering visitors every single time they land on the website, whether they've bought from them previously or not, whether they're on their email list or not, if they're just hammering them with a typical 5% pop-up every single time, then that customer is going to get annoyed with that and not give them their email address. Okay, it's going to work to their disadvantage. All right, guys. So in summary, this video here, I wanted to make this quick, but as with all of these videos, I've got so much kind of insight to give. Hopefully all the information that you've got in this has been super useful. But in summary, what these audits are designed for is basically for you to uncover hidden opportunities that you can then pitch to the client. Okay, but in prior and sort of before you actually pitch these as a hard and fast, you're not doing this, we'll do it, and this is the price. Offer these insights up to your clients for free. Okay, give them to your clients verbally, ideally on a call. put these into a presentation like this and actually give them to your clients free of charge and say, look, we work with lots of brands like you. We believe very strongly that we can add value to your company. But look, take these insights away, sit with them overnight if you'd like, use them and implement them in-house if you don't want to work with us, okay? But I promise you, if you do that, you deliver the value up front and you continue following up with those clients, then the chances of you actually being able to deliver those items as a scope and close that client, and get cash collected is going to be much higher than everybody else out there who's trying to spam those clients with random DMs. All right, guys. So if you got value from this video, please subscribe. Most of you guys who watch these videos aren't actually subscribed. All of my information is going to be in the description box below, and I've got a lot more videos like this on the way. So hope you're all well. Hope everything's going well in your businesses, and drop me a comment below when you've subscribed. I'll be super happy to answer any questions you have.